So welcome everyone, it's good to see you. Now today's topic is aligning mind, speech and action. I think this is a fairly basic but also profound topic. Like many of the basics, it is very, very profound and extremely important on the path. So we're basically talking about truthfulness or honesty, or you can say, just simply alignment. Many of us spend a great deal of our time doing things while thinking very differently, thinking about other things to do or thinking about more enjoyable things maybe, but still we do what we do. For example, an example of that would be maybe meeting up with someone that you don't really want to meet up with, and because you're kind of a people pleaser, you can't say no, so you say yes. Here's a classic misalignment. You don't want to meet, you say yes. So you meet, and what's the result? Suffering. The result is suffering. Another classic example is, I'm going to stop smoking. The day after, you find yourself with another cigarette. So let's say, for example, you have a friend, and that friend tells you, I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 10 a.m. for breakfast at the coffee shop. And there you are, next morning at 10 a.m., you're at the coffee shop, but your friend isn't there. It's 10:30, so you ring him up. What happens? Where are you? Oh man, I have so much to do today, I just couldn't make it. Oh, sorry, I didn't let you know, but I just got caught up in business, and that's it. There again, if we do that to another person, then what do we break by that? We break slowly, but gradually, we break the other person's trust. First of all, the other person will be disappointed. And gradually they will stop trusting us. Our words, in other words, lose value. They lose weight. They become less heavy. They become more insubstantial. So what we say very often doesn't find ears. Or if it finds ears, people just don't believe you, what you say. Or they just don't take you seriously. I had a good friend when I was young, and he told us that he was really, really good at skateboarding when he was much younger, like 5 years before he met us. He was like a skateboarding pro, and he was skating in the half pipes and doing all these crazy stunts with his skateboard. And then we were all skating, so I invited him to come with us, and then he stood on a skateboard and he was all shaky legs, and he looked super uncomfortable on that skateboard, like somebody standing there the first time. And what does that do to other things that he would say to us? We would stop believing him. And it's like little things like that that destroyed his trustworthiness. And every time he said something, people would raise their eyebrows, like, is that really true? Even if it was the truth. So this is very important, obviously. Even if you say something that you are going to do, like promising something to yourself, like I'm going to stop smoking, or I'm going to exercise. From now on, every day I'm going to wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I'm going to do 30 minutes of meditation. But you don't follow through with that because you can't, maybe. It's impossible, it's too much to ask for in the beginning. But if you say it, if you promise it and you're not following through, you're disappointing yourself. You're creating conflict inside of yourself. There's a misalignment in what you tell yourself and what you do in the external world. That's not good. And we can practice, on the other hand, you can also build the power of truthfulness. If you're building the power of truthfulness, it means when you're speaking from an honest point. There's no pretense. There's nothing hidden behind your words. Then if you're building that power of truthfulness, then what you say has weight. People believe you. They trust you. And that's very, very good. If people trust you, it's a very good position to be in. So if you want to build the power of truthfulness, then there can be like simple exercises we can do, like every morning, make yourself a little promise. So today I'm going to, wash the dishes or sit meditation for 30 minutes in the evening. Make an appointment and then really stick to it. Really do it. And then afterwards, you can celebrate that you actually accomplished something that you set out to do. That will give rise to better self-esteem. You will feel good about yourself. You'll start to feel good about yourself. You'll start to feel comfortable with yourself. The reason why so many people feel so uncomfortable with themselves is precisely that split in what we say, what we do, and what we think also. Many times our thoughts and our outer speech is not aligned at all. There might be a public self that you show to the world, that you show online, which is always like really nice. We're not showing our failures, we're not showing our problems to the world, We're not telling people like, oh, today I woke up and I felt so depressed or something like that, so I feel horrible. Rather than that, we show ourselves from our chocolate side. And so we would do that the same way when we're with friends outside. I mentioned last Tuesday, right? Same thing. But our inner life is totally different, it has nothing to do with it. Outwardly we might show people that we are experts in what we do, that we are really knowledgeable, but inwardly we're really scared of their judgment. Right? That's a misalignment, very clearly. And some people are quite sensitive. They pick it up immediately. You can talk like really nicely and cleverly, but they feel like something is off about that guy. Have you ever had that situation? You were with someone and they were talking to you and telling about what this and that, and you were like, wow, there's something strange about this. There's a weird feeling about it. That misalignment is so strong in that person, you can even perceive it, you can feel it. There's so much conflict going on, we can feel it. And don't think it's just other people that you can feel their misalignment. There's also a lot of people that can feel yours. We tend to forget that. We all have some form of misalignment. It's part of the human condition, and it would be important then to recognize that and learn to work with it. So first of all, we need to stop disappointing ourselves. So only say what you will do if you can really do it. If you're not really sure, maybe you can say, I'm not really sure then. And so fast, people show their knowledge. For example, if someone asks you, well, what happened last week, or what about this scientific experiment or something like this, someone immediately has an opinion and proclaims that opinion immediately as a fact. And so we mix that up very often as well, facts and opinions, or assumptions and facts. That is also very popular online, of course, yes, but the online world is just simply a reflection of our inner world as well, how we deal with ourselves and others around us. And so we want to come off as knowledgeable, and we actually present something that we don't really know, we're not really sure about. We say, yeah, but it is exactly like that. I've read it in this article, like just yesterday or something, and it is not. We're not really sure about it. Yet we proclaim it as if it was actually true. We might even start arguments about it and stuff. that again is misalignment. We want to cover up. There's a part of ourselves that wants to cover up, that we don't really know what we're talking about. And so it's covered up with that public self, which is very knowledgeable and very loud. So there's all these facets of the mind, and all these facets of action, and all these facets of speech, how we talk, that very often lack this kind of alignment. And I think most of us are quite scared of our own lack of knowledge. So we try to kind of patch it up with apparent knowledge, second-hand information, intellectual achievements, when we really just repeat what other people have said. It's not real direct knowledge. It's just knowledge that others have maybe gathered or said or something like this, proclaiming it as if it was our knowledge, because it is easy to do so, and it covers up our fear and our insecurity when you think of this incredible universe that we're in, and how profound it is, how vast, and how much it goes into detail. If you go into the atomic level, just how mind-blowingly complex it is. And if you go into the macrocosmic level, just how mind-blowingly vast and big it is. Thinking of the numbers. There's a few videos on YouTube that I always recommend watching that show just how big the universe is as we currently know it. And what we really understand of this universe is just such... And even that knowledge has to constantly be revised and adapted. It's very shaky. We're on very shaky ground, right? Some of the old philosophers, they've said, I know that I know nothing, right? There's this famous statement, I know that I know nothing. And that is a scary place to go, to see our own incompetence. Because the ego loves to cover itself up with competence, with apparent competence. It's one of the major suits that the ego wears, the competence suit. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. This is my life, this is my health, this is my whatever. I know all that. It feels safe in there. But at the same time, the duality with safety, the feeling of feeling safe, there is a duality to it, there's fear to it. The fear that this safety might turn into a problem, that it might not last, which it never does last. The ego is constantly uncovered as a fraud, as a lie. And then we need to cover it up again, very fast. And we're very good at that, covering it up very fast again. Distracting ourselves from our own discomforts and so forth, like not facing up with the way it is. And all that leads to this misalignment, the many roles we play. It's hard to be consistent with that. When the whole universe around us and every atom is in continuous flux, is changing all the time, everything is uncertain. It's very hard to be consistent. And yet we want to portray a form of consistency because we're threatened by inconsistency. That sense of self is threatened by it. I'm still the same Tobi that I was yesterday, even though that is not really true. But I still feel very much like that. And I don't want that to be threatened. So I play roles. Various roles. My public role, my private role, how I treat my wife, how I treat you guys, how I treat closer friends, how I treat people that I dislike, And for everyone, I have a different role that I play. It creates so many roles that I, in fact, kind of don't know who I really am. As these roles constantly change throughout the days, the weeks, the months. The 5-year-old Tobi role is gone. It's replaced by a different role. And so how can we truly bring this perfection of truthfulness into a bit of a deeper level of practice, not just promising something to ourselves or saying what we do, doing what we say in relation to ourselves and others, but on a deeper level it is really making an effort to actually understand the way it is. This is what meditation does. It gradually peels away layers and layers so that you're able to see deeper into things. That you can understand yourself on the deeper levels. The peeling away of the layers happens in our technique as we do it, but just peeling away one layer of tension in the body, just the most coarse aspect of not being at ease. Then peeling away the layers of past and future thoughts, realizing that past and future are truly just thoughts in our heads. There's no substantially existing past or future somewhere out there. Unless Phil has some hidden in his pockets. No, empty pockets. See? So you can't find in the material world as a thing, as an object, a neutral object that would be seen by everyone as objectively the same, past or future, doesn't exist. So it is in our heads. You learn that just in the second stage. You see how you fabricate and form future and past thoughts constantly in your head. Even involuntarily, it just happens. So you learn to let go of that, come into present. That is a degree of honesty there. It's quite honest. Now you feel yourself, you see yourself, your feelings, the sounds around you, the fact that you are here right now. You're not going anywhere, you are here now. That's a fact. It's always a fact for everybody who lives on this planet. Everybody always has to say yes if you ask them, are you here? They have to answer yes, independently of religion or beliefs or whatever. Yes, I'm here. Maybe you suffer from mental disease and you say, no, I'm not here. Or maybe you're enlightened and you're very fancy like a Zen monk. You say, no, there's nobody here. Nobody's here. But that is an experience. It's an experience of being here. And is the most overlooked experience, actually. And this is a very honest experience. Here I am. And being here, being me, is like this. Now, how is it? Nobody can tell you that. You can't read it in a book. Being Tobi is like this, or like that. You can only directly experience it for yourself. And what can you see then? Oh, there's feelings. And there's sound. There's a sense of aliveness there. That's pretty much it. And it's totally unproblematic. There's no problem there. There's just sound and feeling, moving all the time. There's nobody having a problem. Now let's take that a step deeper even. There might still be some form of verbalization. You might go, ooh, that's a fountain, these are birds, I'm feeling my knee, I'm feeling my knee. Now let's take away all words. Imagine a giant vacuum cleaner just sucking out all the words of your head. They're all gone. Now what's your experience like? Imagine. What's your experience going to be like? You in the room here, but no words. Not a single word. Will you still exist? Yeah, obviously. Something is still there. But it's not a story anymore that's there. It's something else. Something a bit deeper than a story. Usually what we sit here, this is like entire world systems. You have 10 people in the room, it's 10 worlds, 10 universes sitting here, with an entire storyline, my past, my future, me, this, that, where I will go, what I will eat for dinner, what I just had yesterday, all that. The whole sense of self story, the world, our inner world. Now imagine all the story were gone. You didn't know who you were. Some people have a stroke, they forget all their past. Yet they're still very much alive. They're still there. They just don't remember who they were. That is an interesting experience. Because they're obviously still there. People care for them. They slowly learn everything again. It's just only one thing that's gone. It's the memory. My yesterday is gone. And this is a big threat to the ego. It's big suffering. Unless you have already realized that you are not your story, that you are not your past, then even a stroke doesn't take anything away from you, because you're still there. It's just your story is gone. And that's okay too. There's an example of a Christian monk, friends of Ram Dass. He had a stroke. And so Ram Dass came and visited him, and Ram Dass himself, he had a stroke as well. He forgot how to speak. He had to relearn how to speak, and he was a spiritual teacher as well. So he had to learn how to speak all that. He visited his friends who had a stroke, who forgot his past. And there he was in the bed with a big smile. And he asked him, how can you smile? How can you be so happy? You just forgot your entire past. And he said, yes, because of that I'm so happy. Can you imagine? He said, I forgot all my past. I forgot who I was. That is also a way of dealing with it, isn't it? It's possible. It's pretty tough, but it's possible. So they're living examples of doing that. Could I do it? I don't know. I have no idea. I would probably freak out if I forgot who I was. If that would just happen, like it was in my family, there was an incident of someone going into the shower in the morning, coming out of the shower, completely forgotten who he was. He walks back into his sleeping room, there's his wife in his bed, he doesn't know where he is, who this woman is in the bed. Everything forgotten, and he died a week later or so. That must be terrifying if you have no spiritual experience whatsoever. If you haven't found that there is something deeper to you than who you were or who you might become. There's something deeper to that. And you can discover that when the voice falls away. In the third stage, and it is just the third stage, you hear the aircon, you feel the feelings, the sounds around you, you're fully present, but no commentary. Quite a special state. I consider that the state where real spiritual practice begins. This is where it really starts. It's a magic zone. This is where the big insights start to slowly come in. Because now you have a perspective that's very honest. You're not falsifying anything. You're not putting layers of conceptions on top of what is. You are like a mirror in that state. A mirror reflects everything you put in front of it without commenting on it. Anything. You are like that. Your mind is like that. You see the orb, the crystal orb up there? That basically points a bit to that state. You can take it as an example. That glass orb. The mind has this reflective quality to it. That's where you, for the first time, kind of get a hunch of that, an idea of that. That things just appear in the mind, and they have no name and no shape. There's just movement, just experience right here, right now. It's fascinating. It's an amazing state to just rest in. And it's very restful, because in that state, you discover yourself as something that does not have any problems, or as something that is not a problem. Whereas in the state where your head constantly talks, You feel life is very problematic, I am very problematic, he or she is very problematic, troublesome. Come into silence and discover yourself there. Discover yourself on a different level. You have many dimensions to yourself. That's one of them. And that is a deep form of alignment. It's where alignment happens naturally. Your body is completely still and comfortable. Your mind is still and comfortable. It's a very wholesome, very aligned state. Here you're cultivating truthfulness without making a lot of fuss. You're just sitting there. And that will find expression in your life naturally as well. So on the most basic level, say what you do what you say. Think what you do what you think. Everything is aligned. We're not pretending to be spiritual people. This is one thing that happens a lot in spiritual circles, where everybody tries to be super pure and enlightened and patient and virtuous. And it's so much fakery going on that's incredible. It's not about that. It's not about pretending that you're very holy, spiritual, elevated. It's about seeing what is just as it is. Why? Because it liberates you from your own suffering. And that's also, incidentally, good for everyone around you. It's a good side effect. So your presence is not a harmful presence in this world, at least. Well, okay, I think that's kind of enough for today. Is there any questions?